What is a weighted average? Not all supervision areas will be the same size. So if you want to find a really accurate figure for coverage across the whole catchment area, you can't always just add all the coverage figures together and divide by the total, as we did in the table. If you're not able to calculate a weighted average for the catchment area, just make a note in your reports that you've used a crude average. But if there is a big difference in size between the supervision areas, it might be a good idea to calculate a weighted average. Let's look at how to do this. We're going to use what's called the direct adjustment method. You can use this table to lay out your calculation. First, list the names of the supervision areas on the left. Then list the sample sizes used, in this case 19 each time. Next, the total number of correct answers in each supervision area. Using these figures, we can calculate our mini percentage, or P. Divide the number correct in a supervision area by the sample size, and record the number here. Now list the total population figures for each supervision area if these figures are known. If not, these can be estimated or listed as relative population sizes. So the smallest population size might be 1, and one that's twice as big listed as 2, and so on. The relative size is more important than the actual population figure. Add all these population numbers together and mark this total at the bottom. In the next column, divide the population figure for each individual supervision area by the total population for the district and record the number here. In the final column, multiply this last figure, the weight, by our earlier P figure, or mini percentage. Finally, add all these figures together and you have the weighted average coverage for the district. This calculation of average coverage still won't be exactly precise. With any kind of sampling, we can never be 100% certain of a coverage figure. So we also need to calculate what's called a confidence interval. A 95% confidence interval means that we are 95% sure that the real answer, the true coverage, lies within a given range, say, plus or minus 10 percentage points. We can calculate what that interval is, and it's important to include this information alongside our weighted average coverage. So in this table, we again list the different supervision areas in our district. Then we take the weight figure for each supervision area, which we calculated in the previous table, and square it, or multiply it by itself. We record that in this column. Now we take our P figures, our mini percentages. Q simply means 1 minus P. So 1 minus P multiplied by P gives us the next figure in the table. The next column uses this little formula here. We multiply together the results from the last two columns and divide this total by n, the sample size. We've seen this is 19. The resulting numbers will be extremely small, so you'll need to use up to 4 decimal places. Add all these figures together and record the total at the bottom. Finally, we use this formula for calculating a confidence interval. 1.96, this is just the number we use to signify 95% confidence, multiplied by the square root of our total, in this case, 0.002. The answer here is plus or minus 0.088, rounded to 3 decimal places. Multiply this by 100, and we have a confidence interval of plus or minus 8.8%. So if coverage is measured at 47.8%, we can be 95% sure that the true coverage will fall within a range of plus or minus 8.8 percentage points. This is a generally accepted level of accuracy.